Hi, everybody. So this is a different kind of video. It's not a Courage Tuesday. It's not a podcast, and it's a little bit more of a personal update, except it's directly tied to my business, most especially what we are building at Monarch Meadows. And I was been waiting uh, for when I was to share all of this. And I knew I was supposed to do a video because the story is just that crazy. And I had hoped to share it with a bit more of a wrapped in a bow, except we're in a decent catastrophic middle. And so that's when I knew for sure it was time to share it because we could use support, most of all, just prayer. And also, we have told all of our, I think, our intimate people. And so, grab a cup. I'm encourage you to watch this on YouTube so that you could speed me up if you want to. Uh, I'm probably just going to post the link there. And so, we're moving. Chad and I, we are moving our home. So many of you watched as we restored a historic mid-century home. We've styled it mid-century modern, but it's really mid-century in Olivet, which we love so much. We've been here for 5 years. After we renovated a hoarder house after failed infertility treatments. We bought a hoarder house. It was mid-century modern. We didn't know what we know now, and we renovated it. We didn't restore it. We were there for 8 years, looked for 2.5 years for a true mid-century home with original bathrooms, which we found here in Olivet, and we've now been here for 5 years. Yes, we have the pink bathtub and the blue toilet and the metal cabinets, and we love them. And if they weren't here, we would have restored them back. And we most of all love Olivet. More than that, we love our neighbors, and we are moving. So we've been working really hard at Monarch Meadows. Monarch Meadows is up in Florissant, and we are so excited to be building a business in that community. And there's a really big difference in drive time. So right now it takes us about 25 minutes to get to Monarch Meadows. Chad is there almost every day working. And when we do finally launch, hopefully sooner than later, we will be on site a lot because we will be the host, because we're going to be a ways till this is profitable where we can have an on-site property manager and host. And so it'll be us. And so we had kind of just maybe we could move to Florissant, whatever. And a month or so ago, we found this crazy historic home on 10 acres, 7 minutes from Monarch Meadows. And so we met our realtor, Jen, our friend also, and her husband, because we love to take them on adventures to look at crazy properties. And it was it needed a lot of work, but I could see it. And then all of a sudden during the open house, it sold, which is kind of unheard of. And it was we were praying. I even said, I pulled up and there's this gigantic, the biggest rhododendron I'd ever seen in my whole life. And I was like, oh my gosh, is this our home? Because Mason House had huge rhododendrons that we could not save. Blackjack, which was the first property that we tried to build Monarch Meadows at, had a gigantic rhododendron that we actually dug up and tried to transplant here to Fairwinds. It didn't necessarily work. I was like, oh my, is this it? Whatever. But it sold, not to us. And so we were, on the way home, and I was like, what was the point of that? That was so weird. And so Chad and I were praying, and we knew that we really felt, Chad will call it a nudge. I say the Lord let us know that we were to build in Florissant. And he kept saying, I told you to build. I told you to build. And that is to build all of it, to build your life there, not just the business. And so we knew that okay, let's seriously start looking at properties. And our criteria was less of a mortgage than we have now, which is not hard because Olivet has appreciated a lot. And and there's beautiful historic homes in Florissant for really great prices, to be honest. Florissant is a really beautiful community. And so our criteria was we want a historic house that we can restore, and it has to be within no more than 15 minutes from Monarch Meadows. Even better if it's 10-ish. And so that was kind of our criterion. Let's look. And so a historic house came up, built in 1919. 11 minutes from Monarch Meadows. And so we met Jen for our own private showing. And it's we were like, this could work. Like, okay. But we just kept like, there's no way, God, that you are asking us to move right now. There's no way into a historic home that needs restoration. I mean, yes, it's restoration that we could live there while doing it over time, but like we already have a project, a gigantic project that Chad is working at almost every day, and I'm there at least a couple days a week, every Saturday working, like, and we're not done with it. Like, there's no way you're asking us to move. The only way this makes sense on paper is a smaller mortgage and closer to Monarch Meadows. That's not near enough to move. Like, but we saw it, like we felt it. The property is beautiful. It's got a really big yard and it's really close to historic Florissant, and it's 11 minutes from Monarch Meadows. And so we prayed around it, and I walked Chad through identity exchange prayer to hear from God. And so we kind of slept on it, and then they had an open house. And so on the way to the open house, we were just like, my prayer was like, Lord, I need you to be so clear. Like, it has to be so clear. If you're really asking us to leave this neighborhood that we love so much, this home that is so special, like so special. Like, we need you to be really, really clear. And so we had decided, like, let's go back to the open house and we're going to like walk the property and walk through the house, like imagining our lives, our furniture, our family, our dogs here, and what we would want to do to restore the home historically, and steward her for however long God has us there. And so there's quite a bit of activity at the open house, not near as much as I thought. And so like we were like talking, and Chad was checking like all the big things, like any of the big scary things that that you check with old homes, especially because we have done this before many, many, many times. And so towards the end of the open house, like we were talking with the realtor and her lending agent. And like, so then like they had told us that like another family was there who lives in the sister house of this house. And it was once owned by one family. It was one really huge dairy farm. They owned all the way up to New Hallsbury. And they were like, if you get the house, like you would get these original pictures that was like of the original property with the original owners and their Model T. It was amazing. And then they were kind of asking us like what we would do to restore it. And so I said, we would strip all of this woodwork back to its original wood. We would save the hardwood floors that are underneath this carpet. We would take that front door back to 1919. It's been like, it was kind of redone with like not really fun glass block in probably the 30s, 40s, or 50s. And we would take the kitchen to 50s and the bathrooms to 50s, because that's really what a lot of people did in 1919 home. Like you went through a big renovation in the 50s to upgrade your kitchen and bathrooms. And since we love mid-century modern, that's what we would do. And so we were just kind of chatting. They're like, what do you guys like? Where are you now? And we told them about our home that we have here in Olivet, and like, why do you want to move here? So we told them about Monarch Meadows. And of course we got the question that we get a lot is, well, do you have kids? And so we, of course, told our story that we tried to have kids. We couldn't have kids. We have 3 babies in heaven, and we build legacy in this way. And as we were kind of like talking about that, it dawned on me that like, this is our school district. Like we never had to move to an area of St. Louis for the school, right? And so we're building a business in Florissant, and like this is our school district, and we want to be in the community and build here. And so when we were talking, the lending agent then that she had with her was like, I have miracles from IVF. And he told a bit of his story, like that, like, I mean, terrible odds. And they have 2 sets of fraternal twins. Like, we were just praising God about like what a miracle that is. Like IVF really only works 30% of the time. And he had horrible numbers, and they got 4 amazing children. And it was just like this, like, okay, wow, that is like, that's pretty clear. you might call it a sign. I mean, it's a sign. Like, I asked God to communicate very clearly with me, and like that felt pretty clear. And so I was like, okay, like, well, like it's already 3:00. We'll let you guys, like, the open house is over. We're gonna walk around the property though, and walk around the home and pray if that's okay. But we'll get out of your hair. And so we moved to leave, and I stop and I go, Chad, did you see that yesterday? And he was like, what? And I go, look by the door that we entered and exited at least twice the day before or 2 days before when we were there for our private showing, like, if not more, the day. And we walked through that door to go to the open house. And I was like, look by the door. And he just like stopped, and he like kind of took a breath, and he was like, we're moving. We're moving. So by the door, there were 3 coat hangers. We have 3 babies in heaven, and they were butterfly. And we just kind of like stopped and in this like disbelief. And so we go walk the property, like, and kind of take stock of all of these big projects that would need to be done before we move in. And we get in the car, and on the way home, like, I'm laughing and crying all at the same time. I was like, there's no way God is asking us to do this. Like, we cannot move. Like, we can't. And at the same time, like, I have peace beyond understanding. And if you have been following our lives for really the last couple of years, especially 3 years really since we bought Blackjack and it didn't work for Monarch Meadows, 2 years ago since I launched my own curriculum, this last year and a half of my struggling business, to be honest, like, I have been begging God for peace beyond my understanding. It's really been more in regards to my business, and like all of a sudden, like, I have it. Like, there's no other way to describe it. Like, total peace that doesn't make sense. And so we were like we're moving. We're moving. And so we decided to put an offer in, and we like, of course there's a list price, and we were able to go in. We were able to move some stuff around. Many entrepreneurs will understand this. We're very cash poor right now, and we have assets. And so we were able to go in with a cash offer, thankfully. Thank God. And so Chad calls because he was at Monarch Meadows, of course, working. And he was like, okay, Jen and I think we go in at this offer because we are coming in as a cash offer. And he was like, what do you think? And I go, okay, like those numbers add up to the number 9. And he goes, what? And I go, I don't know. I just had this, like, I was in my prayer time, and the address adds up to the number 9. And so I looked it up, and the number 9 biblically means like complete fruitfulness. And I had a word spoken over me, like, probably 7 years ago, that I would be fruitful. And obviously, as a woman who can't have kids, that comes with stuff. Like, and there's a lot of different kinds of fruit, is what I'm learning. Fruit's not just in revenue. Fruit is not just in children. And so I was like, the address adds up to 9. And you just told me the list price, or the price that you want to go in at, it adds up to 9. I go, like, yes, I agree. And I go, and I need it to go on the record. And I literally Marco Polo'd my best friend Rebecca, and I was like, I need someone else to know this. Like, the address adds up to 9. The offer that we're going in adds up to 9, and 9 is complete fruitfulness in the Bible. Like, this is going to be, they're going to accept our offer. It's going to be the first time we've ever put an offer in on a house that there's no negotiating or no back and forth. But like, I need it to be on the record that this is going to happen. And like, everyone's like, okay, whatever. So we wait, we wait. And so we do get news that they have another offer, and it is a stronger offer than ours in numbers, and in like a number. And so I asked our realtor, Jen, I go, well, are we still allowed to write letters? And she goes, you are allowed to write a letter. The agent doesn't have to give it to their client though. And I was like, okay, well, I'll write a letter. I'm going to tell them who we are and why we want to do this, and why we know that God is calling us to this house. And because we had literally written in those 3 butterfly hangers into the contract. Like, we wrote, like, the 3 coat hangers that are butterflies by the door need to be left in the house. We wrote that in. So I explained that, like, this is our school district, and this is who we are, and we are building a legacy here, not through our own children. And we think that this house is our legacy, and it's close to our business that we are building and that we pray and are working towards and know will be very successful. And so we submit the letter, and like, so then that night, I have to text Chad, and I'm like, okay, because usually I'm texting Chad about dinner, and I'm like, the meat's not thawed out, like backup plan, right? Except that day, I was texting Chad, and I go, okay, the pork chops are thawed out, except they're the thick ones, and I thought that they were the thin ones. And all that to say is I don't have time to make them before I have to log on to I had my last identity exchange learning lab that night with the wind chips. And so like, I was like, I'm not going to have time to make them. They take longer to make. And he was like, well, just meet me at the Mexican restaurant. Like, we love Taqueria Duranga. It's like 6 minutes from our house here in Olivet. They have the best taco burrilla tacos ever. And like, we are like in and out of there in sometimes less than 30 minutes. And it's like very affordable. And so he's like, meet me at the Mexican restaurant. And I was like, okay. He goes, we're not going to hear from Jen about the contract anyways until you're on your call, because they have till 9:00 tonight and you'll need to go to bed right away because that's past my bedtime. And so what was weird about that is like since Blackjack, since that first property that we tried to build Monarch Meadows out at and like shared it with all of you and lost, well, our ego and our pride and a lot of money. Anytime we would get like good news, like a contract or a permit, or like with this property, like zoning was approved, things like that, we would go eat Mexican, like, and we would choose a Mexican restaurant that's actually really not that good. So this one's way better, but like, it was something like, it was our celebration spot, weirdly. And so we're at Mexican, and Jen calls, and her husband's on speakerphone, which is weird. I'm like, well, we're eating Mexican because dinner wasn't ready. And I think if I remember it, Jen was like, don't you go to Mexican to celebrate stuff? And we're like, yeah, but like, it was just because our food wasn't ready or whatever at home. And so she goes, or because you got the house, like they accepted our offer. And I was like, okay, like we're moving. It really did happen the way I thought it would, the way the Lord told me it would. And so, we had our inspection. We were able to show my parents the house because they were in town helping us at Monarch Meadows, as they have been a lot. And this is this is where the story comes to what feels like a catastrophic middle. So we closed on Thursday, so just like 3 days ago, 4 days ago. And Friday, Chad went to go get the rest of the keys out of the key box so the listing agent could pull the keys out. And he walked in and he was like, I smelled it immediately. Like, he was like, it was musty and moldy. And I was like, this did not smell like that before. Like, what's happening? And so he ran downstairs to the basement because we knew that there had been some evidence of water in the basement, but we discovered that it was because the downspouts had been crushed. So we had already opened those, and he was like, he had his flashlight, Chad and his flashlights. He's got a bunch of them that he loves. And he's like, no, there's no water. Like, what is that smell? And so he like checks the first floor quick, and then he goes upstairs and there's water pouring out of one of the second bedroom ceilings from an overflowing air conditioning pan. And so he obviously sends a couple text messages to let us know what is happening. And then he goes into remediation mode because we have got to stop the water because, one, it's coming through the ceiling, which is plaster. And we know water grows mold because we have already survived that multiple times. And I have been in recovery from mold illness for like 7 years. And he's got to get the carpet out because he's got to get it off those wood floors that we were going to try to just like lightly refinish and not have to totally refinish, let alone replace. And so and also on this day, it was all the flooding down in Lesterville, and our cabin is down in Ironton, and it is on a creek. And so I was watching the creek rise that day, kind of keeping track. We were not near the flooding, and I was just praying because there's people missing and there's total devastation in Lesterville. It did not come up to Ironton, and yet we're still on a creek. So I was watching that all day. And then I get this text that like there's water pouring through the ceiling of our home that we have owned less than 24 hours. And thank God my friend Ashley was able to get there and help Chad because he would not been able to get the water all the way cleaned up to like mitigate as much damage as possible. And so they discover that it's coming from an AC unit, that the pan is overflowing, that yes, our inspector took a picture of, however, did not flag that there was water in the pan, that in fact that the pan was full. They're really anyways, um, except we believe that the pan had probably been overflowing since our inspection, which was probably about 2 to 3 weeks prior, so the entire ceiling had, um, layers of insulation and, drywall and this, like, other, like, ceiling tile that they had covered up with drywall had wicked that water away, and the ceiling caved in and revealed a bunch of mold. And so this is where we're at. We had planned to go on the market, here in Olivet in just a couple weeks because we obviously would like to, be able to help a family get in this school district because we live in Ladue School District if that's what they need. We don't know if that timeline is possible anymore. Um, no one really wants to accept responsibility for this. So we've obviously engaged our insurance, which so far has been helpful. So so the first step is to remediate the mold, and then the next step is to reconstruct that bedroom and anywhere else that the water wicked into. And so, why share this now? Um, because we're okay. Um, it will be okay. This sucks. It sucks really bad. Uh, and God is in it. Everything passes through his hands, which meant he allowed this. So whether or not this is the enemy trying to attack, because he loves to use my food and water and mold to attack me. Like, literally the day that we closed, we went and grabbed lunch, and my salmon was delivered to me literally raw, 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 raw. It was not sushi, and I couldn't eat it. And I looked at Chad, and I was like, "Well, we're on the right track because we know he attacks my food when I'm on the right track." And then it was like literally a day later, and it's water and mold. The creek is rising, and my new house has water pouring through the ceiling and reveals a ton of mold. And so, my friend Rebecca was like, we need to pray over Chad also because in dealing with all of the insurance and everything else, and trying to figure out what the next step is, because there's just like a lot not in our control or like we just don't know. And Chad texted me and was like, "Have you talked to one of our neighbors?" And I was like, "No, not today. I haven't seen her." And he goes, "She rear-ended me today at the stoplight." And I was like, "What? Is everyone okay?" He's like, "We're fine." Um, like, and literally the first thing that she says when she gets out of the car, she goes, "Man, you guys can't catch a break." Because she knows what's happening. And so Rebecca was like, "What's the enemy's bag of tricks against Chad? Because we know his tricks with you. And if he can't get you to fold, if he can't get you to curse God and to doubt this and to give up, he's probably going to go after Chad." And the fact that you just told me he got rear-ended, like, yeah. And so I think that's one of the reasons why I'm recording this today, is because most of all, we need your prayers. Um, we need protection. We could also use some provision. We're still dealing with the copper line theft at Monarch Meadows. We think we have a plan, but it, of course, is extremely expensive and extends our timeline. And so I don't get to like give you this like it all works out for good, for our good and God's glory. Not yet. I know it will. I know it will. It's going to be amazing. And then at the same time, though, God reminded me. So last night, while I was, because we had listing pictures here fair ones. We just decided to keep the appointment because the house was ready for it. Let's just get them out of the way, even if we don't know when we're listing. And my neighbor, the same neighbor that rear-ended Chad, texts me. She's like, I have a baby bird. It was drowning in my pool. Is Wild Bird open? I was like, actually, they close in 10 minutes. I'll come get the bird and I will keep it overnight. Most likely, we probably just will be able to release it in the morning. And so I go get the bird. It's cold and it's traumatized. Its sibling, unfortunately, did not make it. And so I text my friend Di, who is the president at Wild Bird, and like get some, like, just make sure I gave it a medical exam and to make sure I'm doing what's right. And I was like, I go, it's a house sparrow, isn't it? And Di goes, it's a house sparrow. And we don't take house sparrows at Wild Bird because they're very invasive, and actually they can be pretty mean to our native songbirds here in Missouri. And so even if she had taken it to Wild Bird, they wouldn't have been able to take it. And so I was able to get the bird dried off, get on a heating pad, get the food set up, get it in a box, and just kind of let it be for the night. And it didn't dawn on me until this morning when I was on my morning prayer walk. It was a sparrow. Just go to your Bible app and look up sparrow. And God reminded me that He sees all of it and He provides for everyone and all of it. Like, it's enough. Like, He dresses the lilies. He provides enough food and shelter for the sparrows. And so this morning, I went to go release the baby sparrow, in my neighbor's front yard, and I couldn't even get out my garage, and she just flew off. None of this timing is coincidental. I leave tomorrow for Nashville for is a pretty big opportunity for my work that I'm very excited about. And so why share all of it? Mostly it's selfish because we could use your prayers. Um Also, like, we could still use quite a bit of help at Monarch Meadows if you are physically able to show up and help us. There's also the wish list is still on Amazon if you can give financially. Um, I share mostly um, because through all of this, not once did I want to ask God why. I can. Like, my friend Rebecca reminded me, like, our children ask us why all the time. Our loving Father would love to wrestle that out with us. And I agree. Except throughout my lifetime, and especially through the really hard things that I've lived through, my why has been accusatory and not curious. My why has been holding God hostage, that He didn't give me babies, so He better deliver on this. And that is from fear and scarcity. And that is not of Him. That is not of who He created me to be. When I live as loved as I am, when I live in my full, true identity, I don't need to ask Him why. I ask Him what He wants me to know and what He wants me to do. And almost always the first thing He tells me when I ask Him what He wants me to know is that He loves me, because that will probably be something that I will need to hear a million times over until I meet Him face to face. Because we forget. Because we forget to live as loved as we are. And so we hold Him hostage and we doubt Him and we let the enemy win instead of living from the victory that we already have. And so this morning on my prayer walk, I have been working so hard on not saying the F word, but I told Satan to fuck the fuck all the way fucking off. Like, fuck off. Like, you will not get me. You won't. And you're not going to get my husband either. We have a legacy to build. We have a place to build to help people remember how loved they are. And then to live from that love. And we're going to build it. Not by our might, not even close, clearly. And not without help of community, obviously. and we will give God the glory. Except obedience is never going to be easy, especially when you can't see the next step. Because yes, it's to God the glory, except you have to still say yes. Like, we're willing participants in this. Yep, we'll build. Yeah, we'll buy another property after it felt like you just humiliated us and decimated us financially. Yep, we'll try again. Okay, yeah, we'll move in the middle of it. We'll move. We'll add more to the list that's already really, really long. Because we know that you love us that much and we trust what you have for us. And so we will say yes. Because we are co-heirs to the kingdom. We collaborate with him to build it here on earth so that we can show people how loved they are by their Savior, by their Creator. And so if you are still listening 30 minutes later, I think I got some good courage teaches in that, but that wasn't really the point of it. Thanks for listening. And thank you for your prayers. And make sure you follow along on the journey. I have no idea where it's at. Couple weeks ago where it's going. A couple weeks ago in my newsletter, I put in the metaphor because Chad looked at me. I decided, like, I'm just going to have peace and joy, because if I trust the Father, if I trust God and I trust where it's going, then why fight it? Just have peace and joy during it. And Chad looked at me and he was like just throwing up your hands on the roller coaster. Like, we know you're safe. You're pretty sure you're safe. And like, might as well have fun while going down that hill. Throw up your hands. And so yesterday on our walk with the dogs, I was like, where are we on the roller coaster now? Because we were like, when the offer was accepted and we closed, it was like, okay, we have clinked up this hill and we're starting to get so close to like finishing Monarch Meadows, so far away. And yeah, so close. Like, we've clinked up that hill. Like, we think we're at the top of that freaking hill. We're at the top and our hands are up and we are just like ready for the amazing downhill. And then this happened. So I feel like they tricked us and it actually is taking us back down. And he goes, or the whole floor fell out from beneath us. And like, literally, it was like that scary moment, like your hands are up and you like the drop of your stomach and your heart. He goes, it's one of those. And I was like, yeah, it's one of those. And our hands are still up because we trust him. Thanks for listening.